Okay, so the meeting is recording as of right now. So once again, thank you for joining us this evening. It's never my intention to take up too much time of your evening, but I did provide a little bit. I do have a little bit of a presentation. It's not a presentation, if you will, but it's just some conversation starters that I want to have. And what we'll do is I'll go through that. And if you have a question, you can put it in the chat if you like, or when I finish up with the couple of slides that we have, you do have the capability of unmuting yourself, and you can unmute yourself and ask the question, and then I'll do my best to answer it as best as I can. So let me just really quick share my screen. Okay, so this is the second Tiger Talk of the year. So obviously it's virtual, so we'll move forward. And I just these are just some information and conversation starters. And again, if you have questions, you can put them on the chat, or I only have a couple of slides. So as soon as we get through with these slides, if you have questions, you can, like I said, unmute yourself, ask your question, and I'll do my best to answer it as best as I can. So the first quarter ended on Friday. Today's Tuesday. So I just want you to know that the first quarter ended. We are going to have teachers submit their quarter grades by Thursday, and hopefully you'll be able to get those by sometime early next week as a report card. But you should be able to see your students' current grades on Canvas. So those the quarter did end on Friday. So I just want to let you know that these grades they're a progress report. They are not the final grades that go on the final transcript. Those will happen at the end of the semester. The first semester ends on Thursday, December 17th. And that's right before we go for Christmas break. So all of the first progress report that you got, this one ends the quarter. And we just started the second quarter, but the second quarter and or the semester will end on Thursday, December 17th. That's right before we go home for winter break for 2 weeks. So everything that's happening right now is a progress report. So I want to just emphasize that the grades that are happening now do not go on your child's permanent transcript. So there's still a quarter right now. If your child is struggling, there's still time to get that remediated as much as possible. So like I said, the first quarter ends December 17th. I would just ask you to continue to monitor coursework and communicate with your child's teachers with regards to their progress. We've had some parent-teacher conferences, and we'll continue to do that. But I do want to encourage you to reach out to your child's teacher. They, for all intents and purposes, will be able to tell you if your child is struggling. They will be able to tell you why the child is struggling, what's going on, what isn't going on. You can also include their counselor on the outreach if you send email, and they're also their administrator. So Mrs. Mas is the 9th grade. She handles our 9th grade students. Ms. Castillo handles A through L, students with last names A through L. And Mrs. Hauk handles students with last names M through Z. I have 2 assistant principals, Mr. Rubio and Mrs. Den. Mr. Rubio oversees 9th and 11th grade students right now, and Mrs. Den oversees 10th and 11th grade students. So if you have a question or a concern regarding anything, if your child is a 9th or 11th grader, please feel free to reach out to Mr. Rubio. If your child is a 10th or 12th grader, please reach out to Mrs. Den. So if you reach out to the teacher, under normal circumstances, I would say just reach out to the teacher. That way you can speak to the teacher. But since everything's kind of all over the place right now. I would ask you to copy the counselor as well as the administrator. That way we can more than one person can be in the call or on the message, and we can help each other out to make sure that we can respond in a timely manner. Because as you can imagine, people get inundated with emails, and sometimes they get lost in the shuffle. So it's okay to copy the counselor as well as the administrator that corresponds to each grade level. And yours truly, I can be copied on all of them. So Mrs. Din and Mr. Rubio handle 2 classes apiece, and you can always add me to that message as well. And you can add me to all of them, just so that I'm in the loop a little bit, and maybe I can follow up with the counselor, with the administrator, and with the teacher as well. Okay, so once again, please, if you have concerns, if you have questions, please reach out to to your child's teacher or teachers. Real quick, the question that's come up that I'm sure all of us are curious about is, how long are we going to stay in this model? Well, distance learning will continue until our county conditions warrant face-to-face instruction. When is that going to be? I couldn't tell you. It would be wishful thinking if I were to tell you it would happen in January. I had a conversation with one of our team members today, and the question was asked, hey, do you think we'll be back to face-to-face in January? And I said, to be honest with you, I don't know. But it's really predicated on what our county conditions are. So we have to work based on the recommendations and guidance from the Imperial County Health Officer, Imperial County Health Department. Right now, if our county gets to the point where we can go face-to-face, it will very likely be a hybrid model. It won't be all students on campus at the same time. I don't know when that will happen. Based on the last things that I've heard or listened to on the news from the Center for Disease Control, they're hoping or projecting to have some kind of a vaccine by the end of the year. Now, the vaccine, if they have it, would be for essential workers. It wouldn't be a general vaccine, but the last time I heard was they're hoping to have a general vaccine around the end of the second quarter, beginning of the third quarter of 2021. The end of the second quarter would be right at around June. So, when the new year comes in, usually at graduation at the end of June, that's the halfway point for the year. So if they come out with something around the end of the second quarter, that would be right around the end of June. So I'm hoping that we will be able to come back to the schooling that we all know and love in the fall of 2021. But again, I say that very loosely. Please don't quote me on that, because I don't know. I'm only going based on the information that I've gathered. But in the immediate future, if we do go to some face-to-face, it'll be a hybrid model where we will likely bring in 25% of the student population once a week. I know all of us received a survey to see if we came back face-to-face, if you would send your child to school or if you wouldn't. Some of us would. Some of us, if your child is doing well in distance learning, you may say, I'd rather, if it's just going to be once a week, I'd rather keep them in school. Now, as we get closer to that, we will share more information in terms of what that's going to look like. There's a couple things that we're looking at and that we would like to explore, but right now, it's going to be distance learning until our county gets into a better situation. And it doesn't look like the county, 2 weeks ago, it looked like it was holding steady. But last week, after another meeting that I sat in on Thursday, it looked like it took a little bit of a step back. So again, that's all. I know we look around the county and we see we see restaurants that allow outside dining and different things of that nature. But as far as we're concerned, as far as the schools are concerned, we have not been given the okay to go ahead and proceed with any kind of face-to-face adjustments. We are allowed to have cohorts, if you will, and our district will be doing some cohorts, but we're starting with the elementary school, and that's really predominantly with special education students who have an IEP, students who are English language learners. We're going to start slow with that, so that's going to be probably happening at the elementary schools, and sometime in November. So I'm sure that there'll be more information coming at you with that. As far as the high school is concerned, we've talked about that, but we're going to start with the elementary school, and hopefully we can start some kind of a cohort with us. But the cohort model is only for specific special populations of children, and under very strict guidelines and parameters. You can't have more than 16 people all together in the cohort. It's got to be the same people. For example, it could be 14 students and 2 adults, but it's got to be the same people. There can't be any intermingling of people. We'll have to check temperatures and adhere to social distancing parameters and all that stuff. Once we get going with that, then we'll share more information. Athletics is another question that's come up consistently. Right now, tentatively speaking, fall sports are set to tentatively begin in December with the practices. But like I said, this is still contingent on county parameters. I know that there is some workouts happening with football through AAU. That's a club sport, not directly affiliated with the high school. So there are programs across the Imperial Valley who are starting to do conditioning, a little bit of conditioning with their students, but it is through AAU, which is a club organization. As you've probably seen around town, there's club soccer and little club sports that are allowed to hold some kind of practices. So AAU is a club component or club organization that is allowed, but we're not directly affiliated with the high school. So we are planning a presentation. There's more information that we're getting from the CIF San Diego section with regards to athletics this week. So as soon as we get that, a little bit more guidance from the section, we are planning to have a Zoom call like this where Mr. Rubio will provide a detailed presentation in terms of guidelines and parameters for the sports. But again, what I do know is that it's all contingent on our situations here in the Imperial Valley. If we can come back to face-to-face or some kind of a hybrid model, then that would probably mean that we could definitely start with some kind of athletics in December. So right now, everything is just kind of hinging on whether or not our county gets to the point where we can have face-to-face instruction. If we can get to the point where we can have face-to-face instruction, then that's going to open up the opportunity for other endeavors such as athletics and whatnot. So we're all hoping to move in there. It's going to have the hybrid model will have its share of challenges, but it seems like that's nothing new as far as the challenges go, because we've been working under these conditions, if you will, since March. So from March to right now, it's been a lot of challenges, and I think all of us together have made adjustments and are continuing to make adjustments, and we'll continue to make adjustments until we can get back to some kind of a schooling or living situation that we had prior to the closures in March. So again, keep an eye open for the presentation coming at you with athletics in the coming weeks. Also, since the first quarter just ended, we've always had a homework and tutoring center at the high school, and we decided we're going to go ahead and go through with that again, even if it's virtually, to provide some assistance and some intervention to your students after 325. So beginning next Tuesday, it'll go from 3:30 to 4:30 on Tuesday through Friday, and we're going to kind of give it a shot. Ms. Keaton and Mr. Hodge are the teachers that are supervising that. and we staff it with tutors, student tutors who are very capable and knowledgeable in all the subject areas. So the next slide, this is, and I'm going to email this to you tomorrow morning with the daily emails that I send you guys. And I apologize for those, but I just, that's the, I figure if I send it to you an email every day, that's how I can stay in touch with you. But if you look at the slide here, Imperial High School Homework Center is an after-school tutoring program. It was one of the high points of our last WASC visit in April of 2019. So we're going to go ahead and move with it online. As you can see, it's on Tuesday through Thursday, 3:30 to 4:30. And you have the Zoom links right there that when I email this to you, you'll be able to copy, put the mouse right over it and go with the Zoom links there. All Imperial High School students are welcome to attend. And it's with any subject that you might have trouble with. So we're starting it on Tuesday for an hour from 3:30 to 4:30, and we'll go from there and see what kind of clientele we get, what kind of participation we get in that. It's a quiet place for students to work online. Ms. Keaton and Mr. Hodge are two credentialed teachers. They supervise it. You have knowledgeable tutors who are trained to help in every subject. And then they can also help with students with Canvas and just general technology issues. So when I send this to you tomorrow, you have Ms. Keaton's email and Mr. Hodges' email. If you have any questions, any details with regards to the Homework Center, please feel free to reach out to Ms. Keaton at her email. It's ykeaton@imperialusd.org. And Mr. Hodge is jhodge@imperialusd.org. And once again, if you have questions or anything, feel free to copy your child's administrator on that and or myself as well. Okay. I don't want you to think that you can't copy me on this. I just want to make sure that all of us, if you have a concern that, that it's grade specific, and if, I can be copied on all of them. That way I can kind of be in the loop and help my team make sure that we're reaching out in as much of a timely manner as possible. At this stage of the game, I've provided the what little information I have to give you. And like I said, my intent is not to overwhelm you with information, but just kind of check in with you. We'll have our next meeting. It would have been, we'll do another one. We were supposed to do October 6th was supposed to be when we had was our last scheduled Tiger Talk. So we'll have our next one on, today's the 13th. So we'll have our next one on October 27th. Okay. So, and I'll send out a reminder to everyone. Our next Tiger Talk will be October 27th. If there's another specific, some information before that, within the next 2 weeks, then I'll definitely reach out to everyone via email and let you know. That way, we can keep you in the loop as much as possible. Let me just give me a quick second. Let me take a look at the chat. That's a very good question. The question on the chat is, will students have to wear masks during sports practices and games? As it looks like right now, yes. All of the guidelines that I've looked at, if we go to actual live practices, they'll need to wear masks, and during games it may be a different story. And again, as we get closer, if we get more guidelines, because it might be kind of tough to wear a mask while you're out there, running cross country or volleyball or even playing football. But as of right now, we're going to take every precaution. I'm sure there'll be occasions where they'll have to remove the masks. I'm sure there'll be testing involved, temperature checks. that's going to be a whole different other component. But that's a very good question. Uh, if we do go to sports, you need to brace yourselves for limitations as far as spectators. It may be, and I don't know this for sure, we'll have to get some more guidance, but it may be something where just the student athletes participate and we're limited in terms of spectators. We may have to limit it just to the parent. We may have to limit it to no spectators, just the athletic contest happening. There's been a lot of things that have been going on. And right now, since we're not in anywhere where we can start having sports yet, it hasn't come up. So like I said, we're looking at having a meeting with the CIF commissioner with the San Diego section. So hopefully we can get some more guidance on that, but those are very good questions. I don't see any other questions on the chat, but I also want to mention our social emotional learning for our kids. Every Thursday at lunchtime, Imperial County Behavioral Health. What happens during the regular school year? We would have Imperial County Behavioral Health come by campus, set up a table at lunch, and it's just information. If we have kids who are feeling stressed or feeling some anxiety, they'd stop by the table, they'd pick up a pamphlet of information, they'd give out sometimes they'd give out these stress balls and whatnot. So we're doing the same thing, but it's going to be on Thursdays at lunchtime. At Thursdays between 12 and 1. Our counseling team has posted it on their Canvas, on their counseling website. If it's purely informational, it's not something it's not a therapy kind of thing. It's just information where you as parents are welcome to join as well and kind of see what's going on. There's another question on the chat. Can school districts decide to resume in-class learning? If not, why? Well, we have to go based on the guidance from the Imperial County Health Department. As a matter of fact, I had been talking to Life Touch because we wanted to set up senior portraits. And we were hoping to be able to set those up for either the last week of October or the first week of November. Superintendents had a meeting last week, and county health officer advised them, no, we're not ready countywide to do that. And we would have had them in the gym, only 3 students at a time with 1 parent, and then the camera crew. But we had to put that off a little bit until our county gets into better condition. So to answer the question, school districts, we're not at liberty to decide to open up because of the state mandate as well as the Imperial County. Now, the Imperial County, there's different counties that are different positions, but our county at this point in time, we don't have the latitude to resume class in face-to-face learning. It'd be nice if we can go to some kind of face-to-face learning, but right now the only thing that's allowed are very specific targeted cohorts. So I hope that answers your question a little bit, but it's just all comes down to the guidance that we're getting from the Imperial County as well as the state. So the other question that came up, is there any way to provide lunches for students directly at home during transportation, using transportation department? That's something that we can definitely look at. I would say to send me an email directly so I can identify what the situation is, because that way I can talk to our transportation department. But if we have kids who can't come by to pick up lunch and there's a extenuating circumstance, that's something that we can definitely look at. So please send me an email and remind me on that, and then I'll communicate with you and let me know. And then that way we can at least give you an answer or see what we can put together. Very good. Yes, I agree. Very good question. But please don't. I'm looking at the names on the call, but I don't know. Sometimes it's not the the name can be there, but it might not be that person. So please, please send me an email or send me a text message at 760-540-1366. I'm going to put it in the chat. There it is. And I've thank you for every so often I will get a text message or a phone call. If you call me, please leave me a voicemail. If I don't recognize the number, I very rarely pick up the phone. But if you leave me a voicemail, I'll hear it, I'll listen to it and get right back to you. Or if you send me a text message, I usually respond in real time. And if I don't respond, send me another one. I really work to respond to text messages as much as possible, unless I'm in a meeting or something. But please don't be afraid to use that number. Any other questions out there? And like I said, if you get questions that happen later on today, feel free to send me a text. Feel free to send me an email. I do want to encourage all of you to please continue to hang in there. I know that this is not the ideal situation, but the struggle is real. The struggle is real, and I don't know what each of your home situations are like. Lord knows we're all have so many different resources and whatnot. So if you're having a hard time, please don't hesitate to reach out. Right now, all of us, the one thing that we all share, ladies and gentlemen, is we're all going through this. And I've said it before, we're all going through this for the first time. I've never been a principal during a pandemic. It's definitely been a learning experience. So we all share in this. I have a son who's in college. I have one who's in high school and one who's in fourth grade. My wife and I are working through it as you do. That's why you're on this call. So there's a lot going on. Let me see. There's something else on the chat here. What am I doing here? Yeah, something the kids, especially seniors, are missing is social interaction. There isn't much social time during live class sessions. ASB officers are each class considered a Zoom room just for socializing, maybe during the lunch hour. Yes, that has been discussed, and that's a great question. And the fact that you're putting it up there, I will reach out to our ASB president. They are doing some planning they are planning on creating some events like that. But I agree with you 100%. And sometimes it's real easy to lose sight of that. So like I said, our seniors, our class of 21, I was just having a conversation with their senior class advisor right now. We don't know. As soon as we can get the green light to have senior portraits, we're going to do senior portraits. We don't know what conditions the county will be in and during the second semester. I hope and I pray that we will be able to do something, that the situation loosens up and we can do something more official in terms of graduation. Class of 1920 or 20 was a drive-through graduation. It was actually pretty nice, but it was got very windy there at the end, and the wind didn't stop us, but it didn't look as sharp as it would have looked like. I mean, Dr. Kozani and Ms. Cavazos put a lot of work into that. And even with the wind, we were able to send them off. But I'm hoping that we'll have only time will tell, and the conditions, how they improve or not improve in the Valley with regards to what we can do to send off the class of 2021. And I tell you what, the class of 2021, if you have seniors, they started in this situation, and it's really tough for them because right now we don't know what the future holds. So just, you know, it's a great idea. And we do need to, there you go. They are planning a lot of events for safe and social interaction. It just times to get approved and make sure it's as safe as possible. Yes, yes. All of these students need socialization. I couldn't agree with you more. You know, I, I'm, I'd be willing to just have a class Zoom with classes, but I'm not sure that they're going to want to talk to the guy with the gray mustache. They see me every morning during the announcements, but we can definitely uh, have a little bit more of a sense of urgency to create some opportunities for kids to have social interaction. So thank you for the questions, all of you. Um, if there's nothing else, like I said, I'm always available. Uh, the we I can't stress enough how much we are all trying to get it as right as possible. Uh, so please don't hesitate to reach out to us, and you know, good, bad, or indifferent. I mean, all of you have access to my cell. I can't stress enough, if your child is struggling, please reach out to their teachers. Sometimes the teacher may not know what's going on. We mentioned, so much homework for most of the classes, it's overwhelming. We're hearing some of that. So reach out to the teachers. I'll always ask, what class is the one that's creating, because every child has 6 classes, and usually there's a couple of classes that might be heavy with the assignments, if you will. So it's good to communicate with the teachers where that's happening. And a lot of times the teacher may not realize it. So we are, from our end of it, trying to tell teachers to be conscious of what we're assigning. And sometimes if I assign something, I may think it should only take so long, but there's a lot going on right now. So if it takes me 20 minutes to do an assignment, I usually multiply that by 3, because there's a lot of things going on at home. There could be the issue of technology going down. There could be the issue of connections happening. So there's just a lot that's going on. So I would definitely encourage you to reach out to the individual teachers, let them know what's going on. And like I said, if it's a junior or if it's a freshman or a junior, copy Mr. Rubio. If it's a 10th or 12th grader, copy Mrs. Den, and copy me on all of them. Copy Mrs. Den, copy Mr. Rubio, and copy me on all of them. I'm going to put that's my email, japodaca@imperialusd.org. Yeah, being on the computer 16 hours a day is not healthy. That's absolutely right. Yep. I'm seeing the same thing with my own child, in terms of making sure that we're minimizing the screen time.
Ms. Apodaca, it's Ms. Moss here. Can I add something?
Absolutely.
So yeah, I've been in many conferences, and that is the concern about the kids being on so long. And I think part of the reason why we're seeing that too is kids are maybe struggling once they get off Zoom to understand the work, understand their classwork or homework. So what I've been recommending is our teachers are available Monday through Friday from 1 to 3:25. And to avoid for the kids to be on so long, I recommend they stay on for about 20-30 minutes. And a lot of that stress and work will be alleviated by just staying on there and asking the questions directly to the teacher. I've gone on to some of the tutoring sessions, and there's 2 to 3 kids. Max I've seen have been 7. So they definitely do get that one-on-one with the teacher. A lot of the teachers, what they're doing is they're creating like breakout rooms. So they'll send like a group of students during tutoring to one room and then call in one by one individually and help them directly. And then that's also a good time for you guys to kind of hop on and say, hey, you know, just wondering, I had a question about this or a question about that. So that's definitely something that all of your kids should consider doing, because what I followed up on meetings, and actually some kids are finishing by 4 or 5 o'clock versus staying up all night, which normally, you know, if we were in the normal school year, we still see kids working after school until the evening hours. But I think that that is a great opportunity for the kids to talk to their teachers one-on-one, and that'll minimize their hours of being online, if that helps.
Thank you, Mrs. Masi.
You're welcome.
And also, I know a lot of times as parents, it also depends on the course that your child is taking. You know, it shouldn't, but you know, if you're taking an AP course, sometimes those carry a little bit more because there's a test that comes with it. But at any rate, a lot of times we as parents, we're just like, well, I don't want to say anything but you know, it's okay to say, hey, listen, Mr. So-and-so or Miss So-and-so, my son is literally doing this, spending this amount of time on assignments, and it's just for your class. I'm not trying to be offensive here. I'm just simply telling you, maybe you're not aware of it. Uh, and if it's something where you feel more comfortable having a conversation with the teacher and with an administrator there, we can do that as well. We are not perfect by any sense of the word, and the input that you provide is necessary. Like I said at the beginning of the call, and I've said it before, we are not, we got to keep trying to get a little bit better, but we're going to continue to have questions as we move through with this. And I've always said, even under brick and mortar, kids are up till 3 in the morning doing homework. And if your child is taking an hour for lunch and then is getting to work at 1 o'clock, and they're working till 11 o'clock or midnight, you know, one thing is if they work till 12, then eat, and then keep on, you know, relaxing up, and they don't start their work till 5 or 6. But if your child is finishing with calls at 12 and then eating or relaxing for an hour and then starting assignments at 1 or 1:30, and I can understand if they go till, you know, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, but if they're going past that, and I know some of you are, then that's definitely something that we need to sit down with the teacher and say, hey, look, or my question is always going to be, is it all of the classes or is it just 1 or 2 classes? If it's 1 or 2 classes, it may be the same happening. The teacher may not be gauging it right on point. So go ahead. Is there a question?
Good afternoon, Mr. Apodaca and the rest of the group. My name is Belen Donato. I'm a parent of a 10th grader. There's something that I feel is missing in the mind of the teachers. Now that we have in a pandemic situation, a lot of our parents are lack of daycares. And I'm talking about my personal situation where my high schooler has to take care of his siblings at home. It's not only the homework that he needs to make, attend school, also he needs to be prepared to serve breakfast to his sibling, because myself and my husband, we work at schools, and we need to be at 6 in the morning every single day. We are essential workers, and he needs to take care of his sibling, not only his classes. My youngest son is 7, so he's barely starting school. So he's struggling with Zoom and technology, and my oldest, the one at high school, is taking care of that too, technology, and sometimes he has to interrupt classes, and it's a lot of burden on them. It's not just resting at home and having breaks, or no, he has to be responsible also for other situations that in a regular time he was not used to. So teachers, I think they need to understand that we are struggling. I cannot hire nobody from outside to be here at home because I don't know what conditions they are. I don't know if they're in contact with other people that are, with COVID or something. I cannot trust any daycare other than the governmental daycares, and right now are completely saturated. And for me, it's better to keep them at home. But I think all the parents need to, and school staff, they need to be considering more than just pretending that this is not happening at home. I think a lot of high schoolers are right now struggling, helping siblings or other closest relatives that are staying at home because parents need to go and work. And it's something that everybody's keeping quiet in some way, because I have that struggling with my elementary teacher. Probably it's hard for them to understand that two kids are alone at home. And I mentioned to her, and she was completely hysterical, knowing that two children were at home is the only option that I have. And I think it's the safest. And I think I'm not the only one that has this situation. And it was mentioned in elementary, also in a meeting. And I just want to mention this. It's not, I don't want to pinpointing anybody. I just want to mention this out loud for you to know that it's something that really is happening in every single house. And like in my house, we are not English. English is not our first language. So my son, is also need to be on top of that, helping us as a parent, translating, checking if we're doing a good job with my little son, because he needs to have a special pronunciation and letters and all that we cannot. So a lot of burden is on them. And please just slow down with homework, slow down with all the new things that you're implementing that are completely good. But if you're starting with an application and then suddenly in the middle of everything you change to Canvas or any other program, it's hard for them just to keep going because they have already a agenda that they were learning, and then you change everything, and then again changing and passwords and all that, and it's difficult for them and for us as a parent just to keep going in this situation. I think it's everything that I have to say for now. Thank you.
No, Mrs. Donato, thank you so much for bringing that up. You're absolutely right, and thank you for sharing that, because you're right. The struggle is real, and we sometimes we generalize, and okay, my situation at home is one way, so but everybody else is going to be that way, but that's not the case. We really have to stop and think and consider the home situations of our families. Essential workers. Some come from single parent homes. Some can't have don't have childcare. There's a lot going on, and thank you for bringing that up. And I assure you that everything that was shared here this evening is going to be shared with my staff. So it's the call is recorded. I go back and I watch it again. I will post it on the website. I'll share it with our teachers. That way they can take some time and watch the call and then generate more questions. But thank you so much for sharing that. And to all of you, please try to hang in there. And again, don't hesitate to give us a call. You don't have to wait till the next Tiger Talk. You can always reach out to us and let us know what's going on. Thank you. Very good.
Mr. Apodaca?
Yes.
My name is Diana Delgado. My son is a sophomore. I just want to add to what Mrs. I'm sorry, I didn't catch her
Donato?
name. Is saying. Fortunately, I'm able to. I work from home, so I'm able to help my son. But that being said, there's 4 of us online trying to do Zoom. So sometimes, the internet goes down. So that's one issue. But I'm going to add on to what she said about Canvas. So he has an AP class that he had to turn in an assignment and upload to Canvas. At first, I thought it was, he wasn't doing it correctly. I physically stopped working in my workday to help him upload the assignment. I was on there an hour and 10 minutes trying to upload the documents because it was like a 30-page document. And after it scanned everything and supposedly uploaded, only 2 pages appeared on Canvas. My son was having a little meltdown because it had to be turned in by 5. And he had enough time when he was trying to upload it. He started like at 1 o'clock. So Canvas was not cooperating. In that case, I emailed the teacher. He said, okay, send it to me via email, but then turned out the format didn't work. So it was very complicated. The next day I had to actually print everything and I took my son to go drop it off in person. But I can understand what she's saying. If parents are working, how would anybody have been able to do that? My 14-year-old had a really hard time. I couldn't do it. And I'm pretty computer savvy. So, and then the next day I had to go drop off the assignment. I appreciate that the teacher went ahead and worked with us and said, I'm not knocking any points off. But that whole Canvas platform, I understand it's new and everything, but it's very complicated for the kids to use sometimes. And then uploading assignments does not work as it's supposed to. So I wonder if there's a way that, I don't know, there's alternative ways of turning in assignments, because I may not always be able to take him to the school to drop off that assignment. I just, it's really difficult for the kids.
No, ma'am, I thank you for sharing that. I understand. And Canvas has, believe it or not, it's gotten better. And I'm glad that you're able to work it out with the teacher, but you're absolutely right. I mean, you happen to have been home. We ask our teachers to be flexible. I'm sorry that you had to drive over to pick it up. I will say this, and not that this is going to make it any better, but if you get into a situation where you need something to be taken to school, we can actually come to your residence, pick up the item, bring it over. That's okay. I should probably. Well, obviously you didn't know that in the moment where that was happening, but there's been occasions where we've taken a Chromebook to a residence because the Chromebook decided to do its own thing and not work. So we took another one, signed another one out, picked it up. So Mr. Cruz and Mr. Gutierrez, they've been doing a lot of home visits for us. So if something like that happens again, where you need to drop off, bring something to campus, then by all means, give us a call or shoot us an email or send me a text message. A lot of times folks will call the office, and believe it or not, we got all kinds of calls going on. Emails are just all over the place. So if my cell phone is always on, and you're not going to be bothering me if you send me a text and say, hey, Joe, can you give me a call? I need to get this to the high school, and then I can respond and we can get going. Yeah, Canvas, the Canvas was not supposed to be like this. And I assure you that I've been having conversations with them from the back end of it, because we've had some issues with the transition. I'll tell you something about Google Classroom though. Right now, believe it or not, when we closed in March, we were using Google Classroom, and Google Classroom right now is being used over at still at the junior high, and they've been having their fair share of issues with the with that platform. What happened with Google Classroom is we had Google Classroom, but we had all kinds of different platforms going as well. So the reason for the transition to Canvas, number one, we did it collectively. It wasn't it should not be taking you an hour to upload assignments. And I'm sure that those are some things that we need to iron out. But in terms of other platforms and having one place to go, and that way it's pretty practical. But I won't sit here and tell you that it hasn't had its fair share of issues. But and speaking to my colleagues and my friends over at the junior high, they did use Google Classroom, and they've had some issues as well with syncing because they were able to sync it with Synergy. So, we have Ms. Keaton and Mrs. Den who have, and the last time we had this talk, we were going to give I mentioned that we were supposed to do a presentation on Canvas, but we wanted to finish out the quarter and then have something where we can do a virtual training, if you will, and keep moving forward. So I do appreciate your patience on that. And I do agree there's a lot going on. So, if you're taking, I would say that all of our teachers will be flexible when it comes to something like that. But please don't hesitate to reach out, not just to the teacher, but to the administrator. And like I said, copy me on all of them. Mrs. Din and Mr. Rubio they split it. Our counselors, Mrs. Moss takes care of 9th graders. A through L is Mrs. Castillo. M through Z is Mrs. Hauk. And I can be copied on all of them. I mean, if all I can do is just give a reminder to someone to look into it or to make a call, or I can make a phone call to Mr. Cruz to say, hey, I need you to go by this address to pick up these items and drop them off. There was a little while back, we had kids come pick up art materials and only a handful came by. So Mr. Cruz and Mr. Gutierrez, they literally spent the day distributing art materials to the residents. It was called Operation Michelangelo. So they went off and they dropped those things off. So, we are not, if you get into extenuating circumstances, please give us a call. Let me know what's going on, and we can see how we can help you. And I know in the moment it's hard because it's very frustrating. I've had my bouts with technology myself, so it could be frustrating. So thank you for sharing that. And yes, we do need. We do have some people who work at the high school who have gotten very good with navigating Canvas. So I need to put some sense of urgency on myself and make sure we get that off the ground so we can provide a little bit of virtual training for our parents when it comes to Canvas. So thank you for that.
That would be great. If you could, I don't know if there's a way that you could maybe like do a little PowerPoint. I don't know if that's available, a PowerPoint, and send it out to parents.
Yes.
That would be great.
Yeah, we were thinking about doing a live meeting like this for parents who show up, who can maybe follow along on their laptops, and then recording that and then posting that as well. So I'm not the best guy for that because I would probably get long-winded, but I have Ms. Keaton, I have Mrs. Den, I have Mrs. Walther who can help us put together a very practical training for Canvas for parents.
Yeah, that would be good. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, with staying up till 2, if your child is having lunch from 12 to 1 and then is getting on the call and working straight from 1 in the afternoon to 2, 3 in the morning on assignments, then we definitely need to look at that. Again, it might just be coming. We need to look at it specifically and have that conversation. So thank you for sharing that. Okay. Well, it's right around 6. Yes, a PowerPoint or a manual we can download and print on how to submit homework. Oh, that's very good. Flexibility, yeah. One of the things that we talk to our teachers about and all of our staff, including myself, is flexibility. think about flexibility. I myself have to be flexible because none of us has gone through this. So, you know, again, the please communicate with your child's teacher, if and copy the administrator that corresponds to that class, and copy myself as well. Under normal circumstances, I'm not the kind of administrator or principal who is looking on that. The reason I'm asking you to copy so many people on the message is to make sure, if you're just sending it to the teacher and they don't catch it, but if Mrs. Din or Mr. Rubio's copied on it and I'm copied on it and the counselor's copied on it, someone's going to see it and will be able to look at it. Chances are I'll be able to do that and just kind of send a reminder or see what's going on. Okay, so you're not, I don't want you to think, though, if I copy you or if I copy Mr. Rubio, Mrs. Din, the teachers, no. We want to help the teachers be able to respond. But teachers, if they get a bunch of emails and they have the lessons and they have the tutoring, and next thing you know, your email gets lost, then we're not able to respond to you in a timely manner. But if I see the email, if Mrs. Din sees the email, or Mr. Rubio and the counselor, then all of us saw it, you know, so one of us will be able to at least provide that outreach or remind the teacher or set something up. That's the only reason I'm asking for that, because in these times we need to watch each other's backs. So that's why it is. I don't believe in micromanaging people, but right now we have to be able to see what's going on. You know, our counseling team they're doing at-risk letters. They're talking to students. You know, believe it or not, our counseling team has TAs, and they're Zooming with their TAs during the day just to check in on them. So there's a lot of moving parts right now. So please don't hesitate to use that cell phone number of mine. That's why I put it out there. And I really appreciate the fact that everybody respects everybody's time. But if you have an emergency or something you need to address quickly, send me a text message, and I'll always get it. I always have my phone around, and you know, if I'm having dinner or something or I'm talking to my kids, then I probably won't respond immediately, but just give it a few minutes and I'll respond. Okay, so. It's 6:59 right now, ladies and gentlemen. I've kept you here for the hour. I want to go ahead and cut you loose. I want to thank you for spending your evening with us this afternoon. Our next one will be on Tuesday, October 27th. And if we have any other presentations before that, like the Canvas presentation or any athletics, then just check out the daily emails and we'll let you know. All right.
Mr. Apodaca, I'm sorry. Can I just add one last thing? I'm not sure if you said in the beginning, I know I had mentioned it, but I hopped on late. Just to let you guys know, we are working with the food bank, and we are delivering food. We have for up to 30 kids or, 30 families, and Mr. Cruz or Anthony will deliver the food. You can just send us an email. It'll be anonymous. That's all confidential. And then they'll just deliver food. They can leave it outside, and that's all that you have to do. So if any of you or anyone that you know is struggling, just send us an email, and again, it'll be confidential. I will most likely, just contact you to let you know on the day that it's going to be delivered. But that's about it. Okay, just wanted to let you guys know. Thank you.
Okay. I just put in the chat. Thank you, Mrs. Mas. I hadn't mentioned that. Thank you all so much for your support and for you spending your time with us this evening. And if you need anything, we're only a text message or a call away. Hang in there and keep getting after it. And Tiger Pride.